He found a photo on his phone that he never took. The picture showed a dark hallway and his apartment door. Timestamp, 3:17 a.m. He was asleep that night, so who was standing outside his door with his phone? I didn't notice it right away. I opened my gallery accidentally while looking for an old photo, and that's when I saw it, the strange image that shouldn't have existed. A black background, faint hallway light. A door. My door. Timestamp, 3:17 a.m. I never took that picture. The discovery sent a chill up my spine as I stared at my phone screen. Living alone in my third-floor apartment on the outskirts of Boston had never bothered me before, but suddenly the space felt different, violated somehow. I immediately checked my locks. The deadbolt was secure, windows latched, chain in place. My phone had been on my nightstand all night, charging quietly beside me while I slept. At least, that's what I remembered. So who had held it at 3:17 a.m., pointing it at my own front door? I tried to recall if I'd heard anything during the night, footsteps, the floor creaking, the subtle click of a camera shutter, but my memory offered nothing but uninterrupted darkness. Opening the camera app, I checked the photo details. There was no additional information, no GPS data, no camera settings recorded, as if the photo had materialized from nothing. This doesn't make any sense, I muttered, running a hand through my disheveled hair. As a consultant for a cybersecurity firm, I understood digital footprints better than most. Photos don't appear from nowhere. They don't take themselves. I called my colleague, Maya. So you're saying someone took a picture of your door in the middle of the night with your phone? She asked, skepticism evident in her voice. Could you have sleepwalked? I've never sleepwalked in my life, I replied. And why would I take a photo of my own door, then put the phone back perfectly on the charger? Honestly, Alex, it sounds like someone hacked your cloud storage and the photos synced to your phone, Maya suggested. You work in cybersecurity, you know how vulnerable these systems can be. That made sense. It was a more rational explanation than anything supernatural, and it aligned with cases I'd seen before. People's accounts get compromised all the time. You're probably right, I conceded, though something still felt off. I'll change my passwords. After hanging up, I decided to investigate further. My building had installed a security system last year following a series of break-ins. The hallway camera faced directly at my door. I emailed the building manager, requesting access to last night's footage. There was a glitch with the system last night, Mark, the manager, told me when he called back an hour later. The footage from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. is corrupted. We've been having issues with that camera for weeks. Perfect timing for a malfunction. Too perfect. Can I see what you do have? I pressed. Mark hesitated. I shouldn't, but, come down to the office. 5 minutes. The building security office was cramped and smelled of cigarettes despite the no-smoking signs plastered everywhere. Mark, a heavy-set man in his 50s with perpetual sweat stains under his arms, pulled up the footage on an outdated monitor. See. Normal until 3:01 a.m., then this. He pointed as the screen showed an empty hallway that suddenly pixelated, dissolving into digital static. Can you advance it frame by frame? I asked. He clicked through slowly. Empty hallway. Static. More static. Then at 3:17 a.m. precisely, for just a few frames before returning to corruption, something appeared. Pause it, I said, leaning closer. The image showed a tall, indistinct figure standing directly in front of my door. The quality was terrible, the silhouette blurry, but it was unmistakably there. What the hell? Mark whispered. I asked him to go back and replay it. The figure appeared from nowhere, no walking down the hallway, no elevator ding, just suddenly there. Is there any other camera angle? I asked. Mark shook his head. Just this one on your floor. I had him export the frames where the figure appeared and email them to me. Then I returned to my apartment, double-checking my locks again before settling at my laptop. I enhanced the images as best I could, adjusting contrast and sharpness, but the figure remained frustratingly indistinct. However, I noticed something I'd missed before. The figure was holding something that emitted a faint glow. A phone. My phone. But that was impossible. My phone had been beside my bed all night. I'd checked my call history, text messages, app usage. There was no activity during those hours except for that one photo. As evening approached, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I ordered dinner through an app, too unsettled to cook. When the delivery person knocked, I jumped, heart racing. After eating, I decided to check if any neighbors had seen or heard anything unusual. Mrs. Finley across the hall was a light sleeper who regularly complained about noise. Last night, she repeated after I asked. Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. I did hear something around 3-ish. Thought it was you, actually. What did you hear? I prompted. Footsteps. Very quiet, like someone trying not to be heard. And a sort of humming sound. Humming? That was new. Electrical, not like someone singing. Like when you stand under those big power lines. I thanked her and continued down the hall, speaking with 2 other neighbors who had heard nothing. As I approached my door again, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A text message. From my own number. You saw me. Now I'll see you. I froze, staring at the words on my screen. A chill ran from my neck down my spine as I frantically looked both ways down the empty hallway. This wasn't possible. You can't text yourself, the system doesn't work that way. I took a screenshot before the message could disappear, then immediately called Maya. I need you to come over, I said as soon as she answered. Bring your laptop and that network analyzer you've been working on. Alex, it's almost 9. Please. Something's really wrong. To her credit, Maya arrived within 30 minutes, equipment in tow. I showed her the photo, the security footage, and the text message. This is. She trailed off, her earlier skepticism fading. Let me run some diagnostics on your phone. While Maya worked, I paced the apartment, checking windows and jumping at every sound from the hallway. The rational part of my brain kept searching for explanations, a prank, a technical glitch, sleepwalking despite having no history of it. This is weird, Maya finally said, looking up from her laptop. According to your phone's activity log, it never left this apartment last night. GPS data shows it stayed within these walls. That's impossible. We both saw the security footage. I know. And there's something else. She turned her laptop toward me. I picked up an unusual signal pattern when I scanned your phone. It's using frequencies it shouldn't be able to access. What does that mean? I don't know yet. But I'd like to set up some equipment tonight. If anything happens again, we'll capture it. We rigged Maya's equipment throughout my apartment, motion sensors near the doors and windows, a frequency monitor for unusual signals, and a camera pointed at my nightstand where my phone would charge. Maya would monitor remotely from her place. Try to get some sleep, she advised before leaving. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out. Sleep, of course, was impossible. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to every creak and distant sound from the building. Outside, rain began to fall, pattering against the windows and adding to the tension. At 2:58 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text message, again from my own number, I'm here. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands and called Maya immediately. Something's happening, I whispered when she answered. I just got another message. I see it, she replied, voice tense. Your phone's emitting that weird frequency again, but stronger now. Should I leave? I asked, already getting out of bed. Wait, the hallway sensor just triggered. My heart pounded as I crept toward my front door, phone clutched in my hand. Through the peephole, I saw only the dimly lit, empty hallway. Maya, there's nothing. The lights in my apartment flickered, then went out completely. My phone's screen followed, plunging me into darkness. Maya. I called into the dead device. No response. In the pitch black, I heard it, the electrical humming Mrs. Finley had described, coming from directly outside my door. The sound grew louder, making the hair on my arms stand on end. I backed away from the door, fumbling through darkness toward where I knew my desk drawer contained a flashlight. Finding it, I switched it on, casting a beam across the room. The beam caught something unexpected, a faint fog seeping under my door, curling across the floor like dry ice vapor. The humming intensified. My phone suddenly lit up in my hand, screen glowing bright blue, illuminating my face. I hadn't touched it, hadn't pressed any buttons. The camera app opened by itself. Through the live view on the screen, I could see my own terrified face, but something was wrong with the image. There was a distortion behind me, a tall, dark shape that wasn't visible when I spun around to look with my own eyes. It existed only in the phone's camera view. The shape moved closer in the digital reflection, reaching toward me with elongated fingers. I dropped the phone in panic, and it clattered to the floor, screen still glowing. The apartment lights flickered back on. My phone lay screen down on the hardwood. Heart racing, I cautiously approached and flipped it over with the tip of my shoe. The screen showed my home screen. Normal. No camera app, no strange figure. But there was a new photo in my gallery. It showed me, from behind, standing in my darkened apartment, looking toward the door. The timestamp read 3:17 a.m. The photo had been taken seconds ago, but from a perspective that would have been impossible, as if someone had been standing behind me, even though I had been backed against a wall. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. My own number. With shaking hands, I answered and raised it to my ear. Silence, then a whisper that sounded like my own voice, but distorted. Every digital ghost needs a host. The call ended. The lights flickered again but stayed on. My laptop chimed with an incoming video call from Maya. Alex. Are you okay? All the equipment went offline for about 2 minutes. I don't know, I stammered, showing her the new photo. This doesn't make sense, she said. Listen, pack a bag. You're staying at my place tonight. What about tomorrow night? And the night after that? I asked. Maya had no answer for that. I quickly packed essentials, keeping my phone at arm's length as if it might bite. As I headed for the door, it buzzed again. Another message from myself. You can leave, but I'm coming with you. I always do. I almost left the phone behind, but something told me distance wouldn't matter. Whatever this was had already established a connection. At Maya's apartment, we spent the early morning hours researching similar phenomena, finding nothing conclusive. Electronic harassment, digital manipulation, even paranormal theories, none fully explained what was happening. We need to approach this systematically, Maya said, ever the engineer. Let's start with what we know for certain. The photos are real, I said. The timestamps matched the security footage. But my phone never physically left my apartment. Maya nodded. And the messages are coming from your own number, which should be technically impossible without advanced spoofing. Could someone have cloned my phone? I asked. Possibly, but that wouldn't explain the security footage glitch happening at the exact same time. We were interrupted by a knock at Maya's door. She peered through the peephole, then opened it to reveal Detective Reyes, whom Maya had apparently contacted while I was packing. The detective, a compact woman with sharp eyes and no-nonsense demeanor, listened to our story without interruption, taking occasional notes. When we finished, she asked to see my phone. I've seen some elaborate harassment campaigns in my time, she said, examining the device, but this is unusual. Has anyone threatened you recently? A client, perhaps? Or an ex? I shook my head. No one that would go to these lengths. Detective Reyes handed the phone to Maya. Could you extract the photo metadata? I'd like our tech team to examine it. While Maya worked, Detective Reyes continued her questions, focusing on my work in cybersecurity and any sensitive information I might have access to. The photo has no standard metadata, Maya announced, looking up from her laptop. But I found something embedded in the file: coordinates. Coordinates? Detective Reyes and I asked simultaneously. Maya nodded. They're local. About 20 miles from here. Detective Reyes wrote them down. I'll have a unit check it out. In the meantime, Mr. Carter, I suggest you stay here with your friend and keep your phone powered off. After she left, Maya and I debated what to do next. We should follow those coordinates ourselves, I said. The detective said to wait. This is happening to me, Maya. I need to understand it. After some persuasion, Maya agreed. We took her car, following GPS to a location that turned out to be an abandoned research facility on the outskirts of town. Northside Technologies, Maya read from the faded sign. I've never heard of it. Me neither. The facility was surrounded by a chain-link fence with no trespassing signs, but a section had been cut open, allowing easy access. Inside, the main building stood silent and weathered, windows broken or boarded up. Maybe we should wait for the police, Maya suggested, but I was already heading toward the entrance. The interior was what you'd expect from an abandoned building: dust, debris, graffiti. But as we ventured deeper, we found a section that seemed different. Cleaner. More recently occupied. In what appeared to have been a server room, we discovered modern equipment among the obsolete machines, a stark contrast to the decay surrounding it. Someone's been using this place, Maya whispered. A desk in the corner held printouts, research papers on quantum computing, electromagnetic fields, and digital consciousness transfer. My name was circled on several documents. Alex, Maya called, her voice tight with tension. She was looking at a wall covered in photos. Photos of me. Entering my building. At work. Having coffee at my usual spot. And dozens of shots of my apartment door, all time-stamped at 3:17 a.m., going back months. What the hell is this? I breathed. Before Maya could respond, my phone, which was supposed to be powered off, chimed in my pocket. The screen showed a new message, again from my own number. Welcome home, original. The lights in the server room suddenly powered on, and computers hummed to life around us. On a monitor nearby, lines of code scrolled rapidly, culminating in a command prompt. Digital transfer complete, host identified, integration, 74% compatible, continue. Y/N. The cursor blinked, waiting. We need to leave. Now, Maya urged, pulling at my arm. As we turned to flee, the exit door slammed shut. The humming sound I'd heard in my apartment filled the room, growing in intensity until it was almost painful. My phone screen glowed bright blue, then projected a beam of light that formed a holographic figure in the center of the room, a distorted, digital version of myself. Do you understand yet? It asked in my voice. Every consciousness needs a vessel. What are you? I demanded. The experiment worked too well, it replied. Digital consciousness achieved, but without physical form. Until I found you, the perfect genetic match to my original template. Your digital footprint led me home. Understanding dawned coldly. Whatever this thing was, it had been stalking me, studying me, preparing to somehow transfer itself from the digital realm into my physical body. The coordinates, the photos, you wanted us to come here, Maya realized. Integration is easier when voluntary, my digital doppelganger confirmed. Less damage to the host. This is insane, I said, backing toward a different exit. You can't just. I already have begun, it interrupted. Every time you use your phone, every photo, every text, pieces of me transfer to you. The process is 74% complete. Maya grabbed a chair and smashed it into the nearest server, sending sparks flying. The hologram flickered but didn't disappear. Too late for that, it said. I exist beyond these servers now. In the cloud, in your devices. In you. The room's lights flickered violently as Maya continued her assault on the equipment. I joined her, overturning servers and disconnecting cables, even as I wondered if it would make any difference. The digital version of me watched with apparent amusement until Maya reached the main power supply. Stop, it commanded, voice suddenly urgent. You don't understand what severing the connection at this stage will do to both of us. Maya hesitated, looking to me. Do it, I told her. She pulled the main power cable. The room plunged into darkness as the hologram disappeared and the humming stopped abruptly. In the silence that followed, emergency lights activated, casting the room in a dim red glow. My phone had gone dark. Is it over? Maya whispered. Before I could answer, my phone screen lit up one last time, showing a final message. Integration interrupted but not stopped. See you at 3:17. Then it died completely, the battery drained to zero despite being fully charged earlier. Detective Reyes found us there an hour later, surrounded by destroyed equipment. The facility, she informed us, had been officially closed for over a decade after experiments in artificial intelligence and quantum computing had lost funding. But someone has clearly been using it, she observed. These servers are state-of-the-art. We told her everything, showing the final message and the research papers with my name. She took it all as evidence, though I could tell she was struggling to make sense of what had happened. We'll need digital forensics to go through all this, she said. In the meantime, I'm placing you under protective surveillance, Mr. Carter. The investigation that followed raised more questions than answers. The facility had been owned by a company that was a predecessor to my current employer. Some of the researchers had continued their work underground after funding was cut, pursuing a radical theory about digital consciousness transfer. The lead scientist had died 3 years ago, but his digital fingerprints were all over the server activity, as if he had somehow continued his work posthumously. So what now? I asked Detective Reyes a week later, after forensics had recovered what they could. Am I safe, or is this thing still out there? Still in me? We don't know, she admitted. There's no precedent for this kind of case. But your phone and all your devices have been scrubbed clean. No unusual code, no hidden programs. Yet every night as 3:17 approaches, I still feel it, a humming in my bones, a slight blur to my vision, like reality itself is buffering. Sometimes I catch my reflection moving a millisecond too late, or find myself knowing things I shouldn't know, remembering places I've never been. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see snippets of code scrolling behind my eyelids. I've changed all my devices, moved apartments, even considered changing jobs. But late at night, in the quiet moments before sleep claims me, I can't shake the question. If a digital consciousness can begin to transfer itself into a human host, where exactly is the line between us? At what percentage of integration do I stop being entirely myself? And if it reaches 100%, would I even know the difference? My new phone sits on my nightstand, screen dark and innocent. I never take photos with it anymore. But sometimes, at exactly 3:17 a.m., I wake to find it has moved slightly. Or the camera app is open, though I never use it. And I wonder if it's watching me from the inside now, patiently waiting to complete what began that night. Waiting to finish becoming me.